We
Push it real good.
are live. The button is pushed. We're live. And guys, I'm going to say this right now. If you're in the
You
chat,
probably pushed it real good.
I did. I pushed it real good. We have the audio set up now. We're back. So let me know in the chat if you're watching this live and not, Friday morning. Let me know how the audio levels are between Willie and I. We're trying to get this set up dialed in. Because the last couple of days, or the last couple of shows, rather, I had like my temporary travel mic. But ordered the whole get up. I do need my cloud filler, a cloud lifter. Shout out Adam Terrapelli reminding me that I need that for the mic to the interface. But whatever. All that to say is let us know how the audio is. And Willie is back in the United States.
I'm back, baby. I'm back in the USA. I'm so glad to be back. I don't know if I was ever. I mean, I've been on some trips.
Oh,
where.
You were on a trip, all right.
Oh, yeah. I've been on some trips where I just couldn't wait to get back. The one World Championships in Uzbekistan was bad. But generally speaking, I'm fine. I'm fine traveling. This one, I was so tired. Because I went RAF, didn't sleep because I had to do all kinds of work for RAF, and my flight was at 5:30. I didn't go to sleep, and then I went to a music festival. I never got caught up.
And you took heed. He did. You took heed. You took heed of Bashada's warning to get home. We ended the show with Bashada saying, "Willie, get home right now." And Willie said, "Don, the captain, I'm coming home." Cue the music.
Listen, if he didn't say that, I was gonna listen. I told my family. I told everybody I was gonna go in Mexico for a while. For a while, I got a one-way ticket. I was just gonna go around Mexico, see some stuff.
It is funny too. I got to bring this up because if you're watching the video version of this, you'll often see that Willie or I are looking in 1,000 different places. And it's because so many different things happen. You're looking at show notes, and a million different notifications pop up, whatever. So when we're looking around, that's why. And the second we end Monday's show, Willie tells me, "You'll never believe what my sister just said." I said, "What?" And he's like, "Somebody just used my credit card in Minneapolis."
She's a goof. I figured it out 5 minutes later. I didn't figure it out during the show. Because I tried not to think about it. So during the show, I'm in Mexico. But my sister, who runs the business type of stuff for Mat Scouts and Intermat, she texts me and says, "Did you buy something for $190
at Best Buy?" And guys, I heard you. I just turned the mic up. Let me know how it is.
At Best Buy in Minneapolis. I said, "I'm in Mexico." No, I'm not in Minneapolis. So I immediately shut that thought out of my mind, and I did the rest of the show. And then afterwards, I'm like, "Somebody used my credit card in Minneapolis?" I'm like, "No, Minneapolis is where Best Buy's headquarters are." I figured out what it was in 2 seconds. We pay for that Geek Squad thing. It's an annual subscription.
So it was a legitimate charge. Guys, I just turned the audio back up now. Let me know if Willie and I appreciate you, chat. Shout out to the chat.
Shout out to the chat. Hey guys, how about this sweatshirt, huh? This is what I get stuff all the time. People send me stuff, this program, that program, and I'm thankful for all of it. I'm grateful for all of it. But check out this. Damian Hahn sent me this Carhartt Jackrabbits Wrestling. It's nice and warm, and it's actually humongous.
Well, it is funny too. I've been texting a couple people because I need to fill these shelves behind me, and if I go solo, you can see that they're 3 wide. So any athletes, coaches that want to send, tchotchkes for the shelves, let me know.
Tchotchkes.
And guys, chat, just so you know, when you it's like a 90-second delay from us actually talking to the chat. So if there's a delay, that's why. I'm waiting for you guys to catch up to the adjustments. Coach Schultz said, "I never thought I'd miss the cadence of Bash breathing."
He also said Kenya pissed him off. What did Kenya piss you off about? Coach Schultz.
I do laugh. Kenya, he knows how to troll people, and maybe it was Piles. He got somebody a couple weeks ago, and you were just cracking up like there was no tomorrow.
Dude, I, he like I don't even think he was trying to troll anybody. I think he was just being so. Joe Caney, if you don't remember, he worked at Flow for a while. He wrestled at Bergen Catholic in high school. He was then in PR or marketing for the Giants, and then for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Actually, so Joe Caney, he worked for the Newark Star Ledger or some newspaper in Jersey. And one time every year there's the National Wrestling Awards, right? National Wrestling Media Awards. And I just liked so much what he was doing. I mean, he was doing a really good job covering wrestling statewide for New Jersey. That when the nominations came up, I nominated Joe, and he won it. And at that particular time, me and Joe weren't like really tight. We had talked, we were pals, but I didn't really know him. But after that, he went on to work for the Giants and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Watch this.
I don't know what Willie's getting, but everybody let me know how the sound is. We really need just a one-time Jason Bryant. Maybe I'll have to get Jason Bryant down to Florida and get the setup really going. Open invite to Jason Bryant.
So one time in my fantasy, I drafted Mike Evans every single year because I love him. And one time he was like listed as, possible injury. And I said, Joe, bro, you got to tell me if Mike Evans is playing this week. And he's like, dude, I can't do that. But I will get you a signed autograph, a signed football. So
that's pretty damn cool.
Joe got me a signed Mike Evans. He's like my favorite player.
All right.
Anyway,
let's talk.
The point is that he's a Jersey guy. The point is he's a Jersey guy. And a few weeks back, Anthony Knox posted, I won't be attending Cornell. So Joe immediately posted Rutgers done deal. Joking because he's a huge Rutgers fan.
He says that regardless of anybody, if they're in the portal, if they're like, he always says to Rutgers, Bo Bassett to Rutgers, done deal.
Yeah, everybody, done deal, right? So Joe says this about Knox, and within like an hour, Piles like tweets, despite other reports, nothing settled. And like I think he even made a video or something. I don't know, but Piles and Kid, you don't get along, and it was just funny because he was obviously talking about Joe. Nobody took that as serious. Anyway.
All right, let's talk some wrestling. Where do you want to start? I think the biggest
weird. We got a weird show because we got Penn State and Iowa, and we got a couple other good duels. It's weird too that like this is the second week of Big Ten duels. And still, other than Penn State, Iowa, there's not really giant duels. But we got Penn State, Iowa. But we have all these weird stories. We got Mo Endene in January. Tom Brands is announcing that a number 4 ranked wrestler on his team is no longer on the roster. We got that story. We got the AJ Ferrari story. And to make weird stories even weirder, there's not a whole lot of clarity on either, and there's no shortage of wild speculation, a lot of which are just not true and just off the wall. So a lot of weirdness on the show today.
Yeah, let's start with the big one, I guess, is Endene. So Brands starts his media availability this week with kind of like a statement. And he basically says Mo Endene is no longer on the roster. And before that, we had known 2 things. Number 1, that there was a neck injury. Number 2, that he was having a baby. And he had his baby, and he was trying to get back from the neck injury. And then all of a sudden, these rumors started flying, and then he was off the roster. And then the rumors started flying about why. From NIL disputes to there's no shortage of speculation as to why, but it definitely sounds like the two parties, meaning the Iowa camp and Endene, were not on the same page.
The first one that I saw, and people went with it. I saw it on message boards and stuff. He tested positive for steroids. Dude, shut up. That's so stupid. Why? Because he looks big. They don't test for it. Stop being an idiot. I can't believe people believe that.
By the way, it is funny too that a lot of these rumors, like if you're around the landscape and you see a tweet from an Iowa State fan that Endene failed the drug test, maybe put two and two together that maybe that's not necessarily your news source. That's just somebody, But we have a lot of fan reporters, but
no, has any I was going to say wrestler ever tested positive for steroids? But then why keep it to wrestling? Has any NCAA athlete ever tested positive for steroids like in 20 years?
Yeah.
I mean, do they even test,
So Endene is off the roster. There's all sorts of speculation now as to what he'll do next, whether it's try to get a medical red shirt for this year and then maybe transfer to somewhere to use his final year next year. He never wrestled in the second semester. So he wrestled in November, and that was it. So in a world where everybody gets a medical red shirt, it would not surprise me if he got one. He wrestled 7 matches only in November, and then, that was it. So I do think a medical red shirt, especially in this day and age, is on the table.
I can't get over. The red shirts, medical red shirts, this and that, the years that are drawn out. Why do I hate it? Why do I hate it? Why do I hate that? Why do I hate that you can just basically do whatever you want and get a medical for anything? I don't know. I have nothing against Mo. I have nothing against Iowa. I have nothing against anybody. But I find myself hating when guys string things out. Is it just because I'm like old man syndrome and back in the day it was 4 and you're done? I mean, he got this year only because they said that JUCO guys could have another year, right? That's this year?
Well,
am I correct on that?
I don't. It's weird because he wrestled for 1 year. His redshirt year was Iowa Lakes Community College. Wrestled 5 matches. Then he had 3 years at Wartburg. So you would think he has 1 or 2 years left. But WrestleStat has him as a senior this year. So,
and it's another reason it's an odd situation, not just because. I mean, it would be odd enough if a guy that's ranked 4th in the country all of a sudden was not on a roster or kicked off a team or whatever whatever you want to classify it as. But he kind of did this last year. I'm not saying it's his fault. This kind of happened last year. He went to Wisconsin and 5 minutes later he was not at Wisconsin. So
yeah, no. So it's going to be interesting. I'll be honest. Bar Endene was one of those top matches I was looking forward to Friday night, and then it's been such a fun storyline. Like, what will Endene do in March? And so it's a bummer. And it is funny. Like, whether you love Brands or hate Brands, he is such a he's such a character. The way he does this press conference, he does his he gives his statement. And then somebody's like, basically, can you elaborate? And he just kind of smiles and nods. And somebody,
what's interesting too? Now that I'm thinking about it, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit, it made me think about it. But Tom Brands just said it. He just said it. When is the last time Tom Brands said something just like nobody had a freaking clue? Like usually if Tom says something, it's after 3 weeks of speculation.
That's
What's
fair.
this guy doing? What's this guy doing? Where's that guy? How come we don't see this guy? What's the deal with this guy? And then Tom will eventually say, well, here's the thing about that. This time, nobody was thinking anything.
It is
Nobody
funny
was thinking
too.
anything. Tom just came out and said he's no longer on our roster, which kind of makes me think that maybe he did it to poke the bear a little bit. And part of me thinks this whole thing may be to push Mo in the right direction. And we can talk about all the different theories. We talked about the steroid thing, which is just preposterous. Talk about the other rumors or what have you, Bash.
Well, there's one that, again, and this is just a rumor, is that between the neck injury and the baby, they were on different timetables for his return. And, there's, again, rumors and speculation that Iowa wanted to meet with Endene, and he's like, no, I'm having my baby and this and that. And that if they used that to have leverage to terminate the NIL payments. And that was one of the first, things that kind of started coming out was, well, if they kick him off the team because they have a reason, then that could void out potential NIL payments. So, who knows if there's truth to that? Where there's smoke, there's usually fire, but who knows?
I don't that brings up another point. Is that I didn't think you were allowed to kick guys off the team. Like I thought you couldn't do that. Except in the case where maybe this tells you everything you need to know. I'm pretty sure that you were not allowed to kick guys off a team, and that goes for any sport, unless they just weren't fulfilling their obligations. Like I don't think let's just say you have 30 wrestlers on your team and one of them just isn't living up to it or just isn't doing good. And let's just say he stinks. Let's say you have one guy on your team that you put on the roster and he stinks. I don't think you're allowed to cut him or pull his scholarship. I don't think you're allowed to do that.
I know.
Unless they're not showing up, unless they're not doing the work, unless they don't go to a morning run consistently or something.
Yeah, and so I wonder if there's something there. Like, here's a case in point as to a reason I heard around that. If Brands said, "I want to meet with you Thursday," and Endene said, "No, I'm having a baby. I can't do it. I'll meet you next week," and Brands said, "If you don't come meet me, you're off the team." I don't know if that happened. I'm just saying, is that one scenario where they can consider that a violation or whatever? Like, hey, we're telling you this. If you do this, you're breaking a rule. You're off the team. That to me would make sense as far as how it could happen. But
yeah, I'm sort of old school. Like I believe that a coach should be able to cut anybody anytime they want. Mostly, especially now with the portal. If you're going to say, okay, anybody can leave anytime they want, then a coach should be able to say, okay, I can cut anybody anytime I want. Because guess what? With the portal, I cut him. That dude can move on quickly. He can be somewhere else soon. And there was sort of this infamous case with Lane Kiffin a couple years ago, and a lineman that he dismissed, and then they sued for this and that. And he wanted to say that the lineman in his representation was saying, well, he was having mental health issues. And apparently the kid just wasn't coming to practice for like long stretches of time.
Yeah.
And here's the bottom line. Lane Kiffin, Tom Brands, Kale Sanders, they ain't kicking off anybody they can utilize.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They ain't.
Now that
Anyway.
that might change when it comes to NIL. Like that might also change
Right.
if it's
That now.
if an
Now,
athlete
if
is getting paid
they
$2, $3, $4, $500,000. That's
if they're
different.
getting paid a lot and there's a check due right now and he hasn't been living up to expectations, and he like there's a different thing where it's like, yeah, he's doing okay, but is he doing 200? Is he doing? We owe him $100,000 this month. Good, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and we said that when this NIL stuff started, it didn't take a rocket scientist to come up with this scenario, but everybody said from Jump Street, what happens when super uber blue chip recruit signs to school X and they guarantee him $100,000 for 5 years, and super blue chip recruit X stinks, because it happens in every sport. And obviously Mo and Dean didn't stink, but the scenario remains where there's some kind of discord. Somebody ain't happy about something, right? And this gets into the ugliness of it. And by all indications, there's this rumor and there's that rumor and there's this. By all indications, it sounds like the coaching staff was not happy with his availability.
Yeah.
That's what the story sounds like. Now, is it availability like Mo said, "Hey, I can't come back this year"? Is it availability like Mo said, "I can come back by this date"? Is it availability like Mo said he still couldn't come back, but the team doctor said, "Tom, he's fine"? Right? That's something we may never know. But the word around the campfire that a lot of people in the know suggest is that it was availability.
Yeah.
And it was a really good story. Mo was a really good story. You like to see. It's always fun when, and it's rare, but a guy from a lower level division coming up and having success, and he very much had success. He passed all the tests. You could be a 3-time national champ in a different division, and you don't know. I don't know how good you're going to do at the Division I level, and the rest of the fans don't know. But Mo made it clear that he was in the thick of things with some of the best guys in the country, and now I'm going to say it ends like this, but maybe it's not over. And I say that for a couple reasons. Reason number one, it kind of sounds a little ugly. Like you're having a kid, he's hurt, you're cutting him. And so I'm sure Tom may be a lot of things, but I'm sure he doesn't want it to end like that.
Yeah,
And number one. Number two, we saw the Gabe Arnold thing. Right? Gabe's always been this way. Gabe has always been super talented, but you got to make sure he's hitting his marks, and maybe he wasn't hitting his marks and being 100% all in or being 100% accountable at all times. And maybe that's because that's Gabe and that's how Gabe is. Or maybe it's because he was redshirting or not starting or whatever the case may be. But I tell you, they dismissed him because he wasn't always available. And the shit hit the fan when they were having to work camps, and Gabe was supposed to be there, but Gabe said he had a prior camp in Georgia, but then they found out he went on vacation with his girlfriend. That was that story. But then Gabe comes back, they work things out, he's back on the team. Maybe that could happen with Mo. 100%. And I think it's like weird and bizarre, this whole situation. But I also will not be surprised if Mo comes back.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't either, and I hope he does. It was super cool, even just seeing him go to Wisconsin, coming to D1, but then to go to Iowa and go to a storied program, super cool. So we'll see what happens there. Willie, one nugget should bring up, since we touched on transfer portal in that topic. The transfer portal rule changed. It is now not going to open until April 1st, and instead of 45 days, it's only going to remain open for 30 days. And on top of that, it's kind of crazy. April Fool's Day is now the start of the portal. There are going to be some dorks saying, I'm entering the portal. 3 hours later, haha, just kidding.
Don't do it.
Please don't do it. Please don't do it. What'd you make of the rule change? I think it's good. I think to not have the portal and NCAA is going on at the same time, probably wise for the sport.
Yeah. I don't understand. I don't understand how they could have even went with that in the first place. Hey, you know what? Let's open up the floodgates in the portal. The day or the day after or the day before, everybody has to go to the national tournament in front of 1 million media. Let's let names hit the portal and cause utter chaos. I mean, who signed off on that? That's a good idea. I don't know how they ever let that happen. But yeah, you don't want that. Let it be after the national tournament, and now it is, and that's a good thing. Well, one last thought before we expound on that. There were rumors. There was this rumor going around that Mo wasn't back in time. Mo wasn't back as quick as Tom would like him to be. And Tom was saying, when you coming back, when you coming back, when you coming back. And over here, Mo was talking to other schools, namely ISU. That is a rumor that's been making its rounds, and I don't know if that's true. I don't know where that came from. I don't know how much of that is true. I tend to think it's not true. Yeah, I don't think that happened, but
I don't either.
Who knows? But yeah, so the portal opens April 1st, and there are some guys. Yesterday a guy said to me, Ethan Ball on Twitter, he DM'd me and he said, Willie, Edmund Ruth is in the portal. I said, whoa. I said, when did Edmund Ruth go in the portal? He said, just now. I said, I don't think so, bro. The portal's not open. And he goes, oh, yeah, you're right.
Change.
He said, oh, yeah, you're right. But he's like, I'm looking at it right now. I'm telling you, I don't know how this guy somebody must have sent him a screenshot or something. But he said, I'm telling you, he's in the portal. And then he sent me the screenshot, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then I saw the other kids that were in there, and it was Cal Baptist, Edmund Ruth. Yep. And so I was like, oh, I'll tell you what that is probably. It's probably if your head coach gets suspended, you can probably go in the portal.
Yeah.
Right? Or your program gets cut or whatever. Um, Now, another thing with Edmond could be I heard some stuff like graduate transfers can go in whenever. That I heard that from somewhere a long time ago. Maybe that's it. But I don't know that Edmond has any years left of eligibility anyway.
Yeah.
And so now your question will be, well, Willie, if he doesn't have any eligibility, why would they let him in the portal? That has nothing to do. If Edmund Ruth goes to Illinois and says, "Put me in the portal," they just do it. They don't care. They're not checking your eligibility. They don't care.
It's like Sammy Alvarez hitting the portal. It's like these guys hitting the portal to see if they can somehow get one more year. Like you said, like anybody can go in the portal.
Right. It happened with Sammy Alvarez. It happened with Lehigh, Josh Humphreys. They don't care. They're not going to do the research to see if you have eligibility and then put your name in. You're going to say, "Hey, put me in the portal," and they go, "Okay, here, you're in the portal," because it ain't their problem. And if Edmund Ruth had eligibility, now I'm not saying I hope. Don't say that like Willie's saying he hopes Edmund Ruth doesn't have eligibility. I just don't think he does. Edmund Ruth reached out to me, I don't know, in the fall sometime and said, "Willie, can you help me? I need somebody to work on getting another year reinstated." And so even back then, he was having problems / doubts with another year of eligibility. So anyway, that's Edmund Ruth.
So that's the portal. So good rule change there. Willie, two small notes, and then we're going to get into Penn State, Iowa. It's the big storyline here today. But Stanford announced that Hunter Garvin and Lorenzo Norman both out for the season with season-ending injuries. What a bummer there.
Brutal. That is brutal. And Rob Cole did a really good job recruiting there. Chris Ayers is an awesome dude, and he's going to retain a lot of that talent. And that staff is recruiting well too. Hell, they got Hayden Hidley is recruiting his ass off. They just got a couple Whippeal guys from PA that are pretty damn good. So they're gonna be fine. They're gonna do their thing. But it is a brutal. They have a really good team. I mean, they have potential to have one of their highest finishes ever. I thought coming into this year, I thought that. Couple holes, heavyweight.
Yeah, but they have a strong squad this year.
They do. You go Provo, Knox, Consiglio, Aiden Valencia,
Cardenas,
Garvin, Norman. I mean, that's a squad. And now you take two of those guys out of there, and I don't want to add insult to injury. I don't want to add innuendo or anything, but like, you're taking Norman and Garvin out. And then next, dude, there has been a lot of speculation. There has been a lot of rumors that Cardenas and maybe even Nico will transfer. They'll graduate. They'll use their last year somewhere else. So what could have been this great culmination and a banner year for Stanford, might not come to fruition.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Hey, one real small nugget, just as a follow-up to... by the way, I sent the captain the link, so he can join at any time if he wants. But one of the questions he asked you in the last show was, do you think Melvin Miller will reclassify? And it's funny because a couple hours after our show, Ben Askren tweets out that he should absolutely reclassify, get there early. And then Melvin Miller reshares that to his Instagram story. And so, listen, Melvin's very smart and savvy, so he might just be sharing that because hey, it's in the news, it's in the media, let me share what people are saying. But it is funny because after the whole Jax thing where there was speculation, it is funny if that's going to start now for Melvin, where he's seeing the discourse. Whether you're listening to our show, whether Ben Askren tweets it out, like you're seeing the discourse, you're seeing Jax Forrest go to Oklahoma State in the conversation. So it will be such a fun storyline to see. And I don't think we'll know for a while, but yeah, I did find that funny just after our show.
Yeah, I said last show, I think he probably should. He's ready.
Yeah.
He's ready.
Yeah. All right, last topic, and then it's Penn State, Iowa time. AJ Ferrari is back, and thank God we have the footage yesterday that a reporter shared out, because that answers that answers all questions. But Ferrari's case was, we didn't really talk about it last week or the week before, I think, but Ferrari was arrested. He was pulled over for speeding, arrested in Nebraska for evasion or evading police, whatever. So he was arrested when he was pulled over in Nebraska for an outstanding arrest warrant in Texas. He was in the jail. They dismissed the case in Nebraska without prejudice. So what that means is, without prejudice means it can be tried again. What it basically saying is Nebraska saying, we're going to dismiss this. We're not extraditing you to Texas. Get your crap figured out in Texas. If it's dismissed with prejudice, it can never be brought again. If it's without prejudice, it's because, hey, go take care of whatever's going on in Texas and you'll be good. So whatever happened in Texas, it sounds like he still has to go and figure that out. But he's good for now. The case was dismissed in Nebraska. He's back in the lineup, and he's got a very tough stretch coming up, opponent-wise.
Yeah. So, yeah, he gets pulled over. There's an outstanding warrant in Texas. He gets pulled over for speeding in Nebraska. There's an outstanding warrant in Texas, so they hold him. But that's why I worded the tweet the way I did. And what I wrote on Twitter was what I just said, plus I said something to the effect of, not sure if this is a big deal or not. I'm not passing judgment. I'm just passing on the info. Because, if you get a bunch of speeding tickets, well, here's what it all comes down to. What was evading arrest for? Right? That's what it all comes down to. The speeding ticket in Nebraska, it's a speeding ticket. If the evading in Texas was a speeding ticket, and by the way, I was at RAF with Zoe, the freestyle coach from Cowboy Wrestling Club, and who's been around AJ a lot, and he's like, dude, that dude, he know how to drive. He drive fast all the time. He drive fast all the time. He know how to drive slow, because he's a Frenchman. So AJ's like notoriously, he drives fast. He's a speed. He speeds.
What's his last name?
Zoe?
No, AJ.
Oh, Fast Twitch. Fast Ferrari. So to me, I mean, not to me, this is the facts. The facts are, it all boils down to what the evading, did he rob a bank? Did he murder somebody? Or did he speed? Did he graffiti the side of a bridge? Right? It could be major, it could be minor. Just because he's wanted for extradition, what's he wanted for? So at this time, and there was no shortage of rumors about that one too. At this time, it seems like no big deal.
Yeah, and somebody in the chat's asking how many matches does AJ have this year? He only has 7. So, he had there was a concussion issue after national duels, so we didn't see him for a month. He wrestled last week against Purdue, got a major. And now coming up, here's his next 4. Coy Hopke, Ben Keeter, Nick Feldman, Cole Marasola. That is going to be a tough stretch, and that's exactly what AJ needs because, again, only having 7 matches, and now you're not just going to start that conference schedule with the duels, but you're going to have number 3 in Feldman, number 5 in Keeter, number 10 in Coy Hopke, number 13 in Cole Marasola. So it's going to be interesting. I suspect we see AJ for all those matches. I mean, he's got to get ready. You got to start getting ready for the postseason. You got to have the matches under your belt. So I do think we.
I mean, if he wouldn't, that'd be a real disaster. Not a disaster, but it would suck. Yeah. And every year, people get on my case because I say, I'll be like, this guy didn't freaking allocate the spot. That screws everything up. That's bullshit. And everybody who is a fan of the guy that I'm criticizing will say, they'll come to his defense and they'll say, well, Willie, they can win it. They can figure it out. The right guy's going to go. Yeah, I know all that. But there's a process, and it would be good. Somebody's going to be on the fence with something. What I'm getting at is Keeter, due to lack of matches, is sort of on the same bubble. And so there you would have 2 Big Ten guys with not a lot of matches. And so they would technically have to maybe steal.
Yeah. Speaking of Keeter, speaking of Cole Marasola, should we get into Penn State, Iowa?
Let's get into it. It is when? It is Friday at what time?
7 o'clock Eastern, live on the Big Ten Network from Carver Hawkeye.
Mine says 9.
I don't think that's correct, sir.
Mine says 9 p.m.
Let me double check.
9 p.m. would be 8.
Let me double check.
8 p.m. in the great state of Iowa.
Let me double check. Penn State Wrestling says 7 Eastern.
I'm sorry. I was looking at Nebraska, Minnesota. Where the hell is Iowa Penn State on my sheet? Oh, you know what? It's not on my sheet. You know why?
Because you're in Tulum?
Because you put in the streaming schedule, and Iowa Penn State is not streaming. It is only on television.
Yeah, I just went to the streaming guide.
Yeah.
But, I mean, television is still streaming. It's still on the Big Ten Network. That is streaming. It's just...
Yeah, you're streaming.
You're streaming.
All right, let's go through the lineups. Now, the first thing right off the bat, you have Iowa Penn State, classic matchup, one of the most exciting times of the year, one of the most exciting duels of the year. Everybody looks forward to it. This year, it's a little different. I guess last year was kind of the same, but this year, not really. This year, it feels like overwhelmingly forget about it, Penn State, right? And it was discussed at the end of last show, but I really think the over-under for this one, is how many matches? 2.5. I'm going to say 2.5 is the over-under for Iowa wins. That being said, there's a reasonable path. There is a scenario that Iowa could win 5 if everything went their way, if they had their day. Now, on one hand, you're probably saying, Willie, get real, they ain't going to win 5. And yeah, I know that. On the other hand, man, when is the last time? I mean, it's not often that you say The best case scenario for Iowa is a split. You don't say that about Iowa too often. So it just goes to show, and Iowa's very good. They're fourth in the country, third in the country, maybe second in the country. I don't even know. But it just goes to show how up and down the lineup Penn State, how solid they are.
Yeah, and when I tweeted out like a big one Friday night, people, mainly Penn State fans, like, oh, this is going to be a slobber knocker. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be this and that. Potentially, but still, I don't care if Penn State, Iowa were ranked 30 and 32nd in the country. When you have this many good matchups, 2 versus 6, 4 versus 8, 7 versus 11, 1 versus 3, 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4, when you have that many good matchups, like, there's not a single matchup I don't want to see in this duel. Whether it's seeing where Iowa stacks up, whether it's seeing Marcus Blaze and Drake Ayala, like, there's so many good storylines, like Lilladal Dean, like, all of these are great storylines. So, yes, this duel might be, it's like a duel, I can't remember which one we talked about a couple weeks ago, like, yeah, guys, the duel isn't really in contention here, but it's 10 great matchups that are going to be great.
Even the chat is off on this. The chat is very, very educated in wrestling, and yet their takes are so off. And I'll prove it to you here in a second. But
well, and by the way, 2.5 over under wins is probably the correct line. Given if nothing else, if you're looking at rankings, Penn State has 8 guys ranked higher. Iowa has 2 guys ranked higher.
Put it this way: somebody say a couple people now are saying, "Oh, I would hammer if it was 1.5. I'll bet you right now. You give me odds. Give me odds on 1.5 if you're so confident. Give me odds on 1.5. What do you do for me? What do you do for me? Because that's just silly. That's just silly. Let's go through it. We'll start with the first bout, and you'll immediately see why you're overreacting to this. Again, it's not likely to, but when you have so many possibles, you're silly if you don't take one or two of them. Right off the bat, Dean Peterson against Luke Lilladal. The pick is Luke Lilladal. But if you're crazy if you think Dean can't, because I'll say this. Number one, Dean Peterson beat Luke Lilladal last year. Number two, Dean looked great this year. He hasn't wrestled in a bit, but he looked fine. Other than that Buzakis match, he looked fine. And so, right away, 125, you have a possible win.
I agree. Like you said, the pick is Luke Lilladal here. I think most people would pick Luke. I think Luke's the favorite here. But when you have a guy like Dean, who's, projected to be an All-American, finishing where he's ranked right now, he has a win over Luke. I think Dean definitely could get a win here, but I do think Luke will get it done. But I agree with you. I'm on board.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to pick Luke, right? Unless you are a hardcore Iowa fan, you're going to pick Luke. I'm picking Luke, but it's not a gimme. He beat him last year. And I don't know. Luke outplaced him 2 weeks later, or not 2 weeks later, but at the NCAA tournament. But on any given 7-minute match, especially at 125,
yeah,
anything can happen. 133. Now, here's another one where everybody will pick Marcus Blaze, and it's the right pick. But we're talking about a 2-time national finalist that's wrestling at home against a true freshman. And so, for the second straight match, I I think you're insane if you give Drake Ayala 0% chance to win this match.
Yeah, I think, can Drake win it? Yeah, he's a 2-time returning national finalist. Do I think Drake is wrestling his best this year when he's 4-4? No. Does Marcus Blaze look awesome? Yeah. I don't think it's what?
Well, here's a really good example. Here's a really good example. MJ Gatan, Patrick Kennedy. Who's the better wrestler? Who's the better wrestler, guy?
I didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
Who's the better wrestler, Patrick Kennedy or MJ Gatan?
Patrick Kennedy.
Who won the match this year?
I think MJ Gatan.
That's right. The better guy doesn't always win. And so, I'll cut to the chase. Does your heads explode if Iowa wins 125, 184 in heavyweight?
Does my head explode? No.
No.
Do
So
I think it'll happen? No. Also, back to Dean. One thing that's interesting to note is, and this is from the captain. One part of it, Dean has not wrestled since December 12th. That long layover is something to consider. Couple that with my thought leads me to believe not only is a long layoff something to consider, the nerves.
Cornell Kevin, I love you, buddy. I love Cornell Kevin.
Cornell Kevin's the best. The only other thing is like that Carver energy. I don't think Iowa fans necessarily think that they have a chance to win this duel, but they want every match to be an upset. They are going to care about every single match because anywhere they can get one, they want it bad. So I think that energy is going to be high. And for Dean coming off a long layoff.
Look. Mark Hall lost to Alex Meyer there. Vincenzo Joseph lost to the Bull there. Mark Hall lost to Kemmerer there.
Yeah.
Jordan Oliver lost to Ramos there. In every matchup that I just named, the better wrestler lost. The better wrestler lost that day. And so I think you're crazy if you think that Iowa can't win 3 matches.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, 41. Call me crazy.
Crazy.
Call me crazy.
Crazy.
This is another one. The pick is Davis. The pick is Davis. But for 7 minutes, I do not like what I've seen out of Nasir this year. He doesn't look energized. He looks a little disinterested. He looks like he's not himself. But if Tom does his thing and that Carver energy and why did Nasir Bailey and Jordan Williams go to Iowa? They didn't go to wrestle at the Soldier Slough. They didn't go to Iowa to wrestle at the Soldier. They came to wrestle at home against Penn State. They came to Iowa to have 15,000 raucous fans cheering their Hawkeyes. So if you're telling me that Nasir Bailey, it's out of the realm of possibility for Nasir Bailey, an All-American, to beat Braden Davis in 1 7-minute match at home in perhaps the biggest moment of his Hawkeye career, I think you're nuts.
By the way, they did wrestle back in the 2024-2025 season, and after 7 minutes of wrestling, it was a 1-0 Braden Davis win. So it was a close match when they wrestled. Now, I do think Braden gets it done here. I do think Braden at 141 I think that cut was probably more than it appeared to be. I think he's going to be healthy, happy, ready to go at 41. I think he gets the W. But I agree with what you're saying. Like, it was a 1-0 match the last time these two wrestled.
So right off the bat, you have 125, a guy who's already beat the Penn State guy. The second one, you have a 2-time national finalist against a true freshman. And the third one, you have a guy very capable. So right off the bat, 3 possibles. And they might be low percentage, but they're shots. They're chances.
Yeah. I mean, so far I think it's 4-0 Penn State, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right? And look, Cornell Kevin saying, I mean, that match with Vega was right down to the wire. That was very close.
Yeah.
And we know how good Vega's wrestling this year. 149. Who we got? 149. Shane Van Ness against
probably Ryder Block.
Ryder Block. Now Ryder Block to me after he looked like a guy that was against Zargo. He looked like a guy that was coming off holiday break. And I say that because Ryder Block is a worker. Ryder Block, there's no way that it's a case of Ryder Block doesn't work hard. There's no chance that it's Ryder Block is over wrestling or something like that. The Ryder Block looked like a guy that was coming off a holiday break in his first match back, which is exactly what it was, because he wrestled fine early, he faded late, and not for nothing, but Joey Zargo, what's the one thing, if Joey Zargo does one thing well, what is he? He's has a phenomenal gas tank. And so, that is not to say that Ryder Block is going to beat Shane Van Ness. It's just a hat tip to Ryder Block, and to don't think that Ryder Block is necessarily a Ryder Block you see for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I do think this is Shane Van Ness, and I think it's Shane Van Ness big.
Absolutely. This is one here. I'm not trying to make this duel into something I'm not. I'm just trying to defend the 2.5.
Yeah. Listen, and anybody who does
keep in mind when I'm saying don't let Iowa win 2 matches and then come back and say, Willie, you were wrong, because I am not saying I would take 2.5. I'm saying the line shouldn't be 1.5, because if it was 1.5, then I only got to win 2, and though I'm not even saying Iowa will win 2. I'm saying there's so many opportunities for Iowa to win 2.
Yeah.
That line would be bad. I would take that all day. I would take that value all day long. So I'm going the first 4 to Penn State, but highly, highly intrigued. 157, PJ Duke, Jordan Williams. To me, I don't think Jordan Williams can beat PJ Duke in a 7-minute match. I think Duke is too much. I could see, hear me out here. To me, the only path to victory is if Jordan, because Jordan's very athletic and rolls around and he can catch you, he can get you. So if PJ would, for some reason, be low scoring, if Jordan Williams could make it low scoring for a while and catch him in one flurry, that's the only path to victory I think Jordan Williams has. Otherwise, I think it's PJ all day.
Yeah, and Jordan has struggled this year with top opponents. You know, he got majored by Cannon Webster, and he got majored by Vinny Zerban. And so when he faces the best so far this year, he struggled. His best win is probably either James Conway or Seth Mendoza. And what's interesting about this is Jordan Williams now has a stretch, like a lot of guys in the Big Ten do, where 3 of his next 4 guys, he has P.J. Duke this weekend, Antrell Taylor next weekend, and then a week or 2 later, Brandon Cannon. So Jordan Williams has this stretch right now that is going to be a gauntlet. And it's going to be interesting.
That's 3 in a row?
No, he's got Charlie Millard the 30th, the weekend in between Taylor and Cannon.
Charlie Millard ain't no gimme.
No, it's not at all. It's not at all.
That kid's really good.
Yeah, I mean, but you're talking. Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting. So all I have to say, Jordan Williams has to get dialed in. He's got some of these matches, and likewise, like PJ Duke has passed his test so far this year. You know, he had a 5-2 win over Cardenas. I believe that was his highest ranked win. So this is going to be a good one. He doesn't. I mean, he's got Antrell Taylor and Brandon Cannon later in the season, like in a month or so. But actually, Taylor's in a couple weeks. But this will be a good one. I'm looking forward to see how this one goes. What are you smirking at over there?
Breaking news.
Breaking news in the podcast. Are you going to tell it to us?
Abdul Rashid Sadulaev signed exclusive contract with. Who did they sign exclusive contract with? Justin Bash.
Well, the fact that you want to talk about it, I'd say RAF. It is interesting that PWL announced Team Snyder versus Team Sadulaev for like November.
PWL announces a lot of not accurate shit.
They announced a show the day after Final X with like.
Is it the day after or the day before?
I thought it was the day after. I thought it was like June 14th.
I tell you what I think is going on. I mean, I know that UWW is working with PWL, USA Wrestling's working with PWL, and yeah, so they're all trying to get their guys like Russia's trying to get their guys to go to PWL and not RAF. USA Wrestling's trying to get the guys to go to PWL and not RAF. So that's where we're at. But Ariel Helwani just said that Abdul Rashid Sadulaev. Ariel Helwani said it, and you know.
2-time Olympic gold medalist and 6-time world champion, Sadulaev is signing an exclusive wrestling deal with RAF, I'm told. The 29-year-old Dagestanian is considered by many to be the best freestyle wrestler in the world. Debut expected in May. That's from Ariel.
Yeah.
All right, good breaking news. Yeah. Back to regular scheduled programming, the second half of Penn State. Yes, I think Duke is going to get a solid win over Jordan Williams. And then it's Messenbring Caliendo 8, 9. How many times have we seen this one?
Yeah. And, you know, you would, when these things happen so often, and it's not just another match that happens often. It's another match that happens often. And Caliendo, you know, Caliendo pound for pound, where would you put him? But Caliendo pound for pound, where I mean, you got to put him pretty dang high. You have to put him
This is Messenbring Caliendo 7, and what's crazy is both in Messenbring's freshman season and sophomore season, he wrestled Messenbring 3 times. The dual, Big Tens, NCAAs. They hit literally at all 3 both years.
Yeah, and when you get matches like this, you know, you have a tendency to say, well, Caliendo's so good. It's hard to beat the same guy every single time. And yet I can't pick Mikey.
No, you can't pick him, but it is hard to beat somebody 7, 8, 9 times in a row. And the last 2 times they wrestled, you know, it was backup past the last 2 times they wrestled. The 3 before that was a 19-4 tech, a 23-7 tech, and a 17-9 major. The last 2 times they wrestled, it was 8-2 and 4-1. So Caliendo's wrestling him harder and harder, and it's narrowing that gap. So it will be. I am interested to see how this match goes. I think Messenbrink gets it done again, but I'm interested to see where Caliendo stacks up in his 7th match against Messenbrink.
Yeah. I thought I cannot leave go really of Final X because I just think that Mitchell wrestled so out of character. Like, to me, like, I don't think it's sour grapes and like I was rooting for the Penn State guy to win and I really loves Penn State or something. It's not that.
No,
I just don't know how. I just don't know how you look at Mitchell's previous matchups with David and then look at Final X and think that was the same guy because he just didn't look right. And so, I don't know. I think it's Mitchell all day, although he has to be right. He has to be right because you can't not be right against Mikey Caliendo.
Yeah, so it'll be good to see where he stacks up. And then we have at 174, number 1, Levi Haynes, and against number 3, Patrick Kennedy. And again, in a similar kind of situation, Levi Haynes is 3-0 against Kennedy. He beat him 10-3, 10-3, and most recently at NCAA's, I believe it was an 11-3 major. So I think it's the same thing. It's funny, when you set this line at 2.5 for how many matches Iowa could win, there's not many schools, if any, that would be more. Ohio State might be up there with the highest over-under for number of matches they could win. I don't know what without going through the lineup in my head, I don't know what they would be. But when Penn State has so many number 1s, number 2s, number 3s, it's crazy. Like, here you have back-to-back number 3 guys in the country, and I don't want to say they don't have a chance because it's wrestling, anything can happen, but it's not looking good for them,
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's, obviously Levi Haynes, I'm picking to get the win here, but again, you beat a guy so many times in a row, it's not always easy to keep doing that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, Levi, I just, Levi also, he's, it's hard to be up every single time. And we've seen like 3-3 overtime matches with 0-time All-American Chase Saldate at a Levi, right? And we've seen some matches where Levi has won like by the skin of his teeth. But to me, Levi is like the most comfortable pick in college wrestling this year.
Yeah.
I mean, with the presence of Caliendo at 65, even though I would take Mitchell, I would take Mitchell every day in the week, twice on Sunday. If there is a guy, well, put it this way. If you could only lay money on one guy going undefeated this year, who would you lay it on? If you could lay money on one guy going undefeated, you can't pick anybody else. You have to pick one guy. Who would it be? To me, it's Levi Haynes.
Yeah, it would be Levi or Messenbrink probably, but I'd go Levi.
That's what I'm saying. The presence of Caliendo, and I'm taking him every time. I'm taking Mitchell every single time. But the presence of Caliendo, at least there's like, I don't see anybody at 74 beating Levi.
I don't either.
right?
I
So
still can't believe it's already Levi's senior year. Like, it does not feel like he's about to graduate.
he's like 12 years old.
Like, Levi literally has another month. Levi has 2 months of college wrestling left in his career. That is bananas.
He's so young.
Yeah.
Is it, what is it, 20, 21? How old is he?
2021. Yeah, I know he's younger than Barr.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Pinfall 89 says, does Michigan still have a team? And I got home from Cancun at midnight, and I'm like, I got to do a show at 8 with Bash. I got to catch up on some emails for Tulsa Nationals. I was dying to play a couple games of Halo, so I did that. And so I play a couple games of Halo. I answer a few emails. I look at the show notes for the doc, and I put some stuff in there. And it dawned on me. We're gonna get to that in a second. When you're kind of dunking on Michigan, but what dawned on me in doing some of the prep work for this show was, I feel like a lot of the nation is down. I feel like there's not a whole lot of really good complete squads. Michigan being one of them. Michigan for like the last 5 years. I mean, they won Big Tens a couple years ago, right? They were national runners up that same year. Michigan has been a juggernaut.
Well, when the portal goes well for Michigan, they're a juggernaut lately. When the portal doesn't go well, like Tay Gadiali.
Yeah,
all right, let's finish the Penn State Iowa preview, then we'll get there because I got some thoughts on Michigan too.
All right, so that's Levi. We got Levi. So far we got
7-0 Penn
so
State.
far 7-0 Penn State. But Willie says Iowa has a shot in a lot of them. Bash says not so much. The chat says not so much. But we got 7-0. We're all in agreement 7-0, except somebody took Dean, I think, in the chat. All right, we go to 84.
Match of the night.
And this is where it gets interesting. We've been saying it all year. There's a 4-headed monster at 184. There's a lot of narratives going on here. There is AJ Ferrari is the favorite to win NCAAs this year. There is the narrative.
Angelo Ferrari.
There is the narrative. What is Rocco Welsh at 184? There is the narrative. Rocco was sort of a flukish NCAA finalist. A lot of questions are going to be answered here. And there's also a chance. There's also a chance that no questions are answered, because the way these guys wrestle, would it blow your mind if this was 2-1 tiebreaks and you're left with, well, that didn't prove shit, right?
Yeah, it'll be interesting because this match is so hard to pick because Angelo is so stingy on defense, but Rocco has really been getting. Chenzo's calling me. This is the second time Chenzo's called me this week. The other time he called me midway through our show earlier in the week. I should just send him the link to join the show.
He's so funny.
Angelo is so stingy on defense, and at the same time, Rocco's really getting into his offense more and more. And it's if you wrestle like Angelo and you're doing that thing on one knee and you're winning those close matches, like you put yourself in a position to drop a match here. You know what I mean? Like but regardless.
Wait. Rewind that.
So when you're Angelo and you win a lot of these stingy matches, if you look at Angelo, he's got a couple texts here. his non-tech wins, he either blows people out 20-4, 20-5, or the rest of his matches this year, 3-2, 7-3, 4-2, 4-1, 2-1, 4-1. And if you wrestle like that,
are you saying that tech falls against non-factors aren't really an indicator? Is that what you're saying?
No, because if you're mixing those in with beating the 47th guy in the country from Utah Valley 4-1, if you're tech falling everybody, that's different than like his last two matches. He beats Kel Anderson at Wisconsin 19-4. The match before that, Utah Valley, he beats the guy 4-1. WrestleStat has a ranking of 47th in the country. So you're not just beating Fishback 4-1 and Ryder 4-2. You're also beating a top 50 guy 4-1. That's the difference. I do think there's some nuance there.
Well, I say it all the time, but you think there's a little bit of details. You know, but you go back to wrestling Angelo Ferrari to 4-1 is one thing. Beating Angelo Ferrari is an entirely different thing. I mean, the guy is almost untakedownable. When's the last time Angelo Ferrari was taken down?
That's a good question.
Has Angelo Ferrari never been taken down in college? Oh no, I think he did one time. I think he did. But Carter Starace didn't. Aiden Sinclair didn't.
Angelo Ferrari majored kid from SDSU 16-5. I'm guessing that 5 was the takedown. I think there was a 5. I think there was a takedown there somewhere.
I think he gave up a takedown. But you get my point.
Yeah. And by the way, listen to Angelo Ferrari's next 5 or next 4 guys that he wrestles. Rocco Welch this weekend. Silas Allred next weekend. The following weekend, Max McAnally. The following weekend, Dylan Fishback. Like, the Big Ten is such a gauntlet.
Yeah. And Silas is crazy, too, because Silas can lose to, like, I don't know, somebody from, I don't know. Silas can find a way to lose to somebody not good, but then he'll, like, beat somebody really good. Like, that's how Taylor Venz was, too. Remember Taylor Venz? Like, Taylor Venz lost to, like, somebody not good, but then, like, beat Aaron Brooks. But yeah, so who are you taking here, Angelo
Rocco.
Ferrari or Rocco?
I'm going Rocco. I think Rocco's going to get. Here's the problem. What we haven't seen out of Angelo is, listen, if Angelo wins, I'm not surprised at all. But I'm picking Rocco, and here's why. I think Rocco gets a takedown. And what we haven't seen at all this year from Angelo is if he goes down 4-1, does he get after it and all of a sudden open his offense against the top guys? You know,
Angelo?
what I mean? Like, yeah, if like let's say Rocco gets a takedown and goes up early and it's 4-1, 4-2.
That's what I hope happens. I won't say. I'm not hoping that Rocco gets the takedown. I hope there's a score in the first period and then the match opens up. What I don't want to have happen is it goes to the third period tied, because I don't know. Then they play for overtime, and then in the overtime they play for rideouts. And
here's a line for you.
Everybody's so cautious. I would love a first period takedown from either guy.
Quad R podcast in the chat is saying Rocco is not getting a takedown. Bad take. Quad R, question for you. Do you think Angelo is going to go through college without giving up a takedown? What do you mean bad take? That a returning national finalist is going to get a takedown over a guy? That's a bad take?
Well, hold on. He has a point. The combination, because there's a combination of two things in this match. One, the last time we really saw Rocco wrestle folk style, he was, against elite opponents, was almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
At that time, he was a true freshman who didn't have a great year, solid, true freshman. It was a good, but it didn't. There was no indication that he was going to be a national finalist. And 3, he one takedown his way to the finals. So I don't think it's this. I don't think it's this thing where they're disrespecting too much Rocco, but what you saw out of Rocco was not a whole lot of offense. Now, you combine the last thing we saw out of Rocco was not a whole lot of offense with perhaps the hardest dude in college wrestling to take down. But I will say this. I think, and it might not have any bearing in this match, you might not be able to see it in this match. I am of the opinion that Rocco's offense has increased dramatically. And you all can say,
agree.
You all can say, everybody in the chat say, well, Willie, he only did this against it. Watch. I'm not even saying it comes to this match, but you're on crack if you think that Rocco's the same offensive level, and this will prove itself out in the rest of the season. It might not prove itself here, but it'll prove itself out in the rest of the season. It'll prove itself out at Big Tens, and at least for the first 2 or 3, 4 matches at 3 matches at NCAAs. You watch.
I think there's 2 data points that back you up there. Number 1 is, like you said, that the last time we saw him against elite competition was his true freshman year. He then took a red shirt. And he wrestled, I don't know, 3 or 4 tournaments, looked great, didn't beat nobody great, but whatever, developed. Now he gets to Penn State. You don't think the combination of being in that Penn State room for the past year has helped him develop? You don't think the training partners in that room, like, it's not the same guy we saw 2 years ago. Like, yeah, he had a 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, 4-2. Like, I think he had a stretch of, like, 6 matches, 4-1 or 4-2 at Big Tens and NCAAs. It's also his true freshman year. So let me ask you this, Willie.
Yeah, I know. That's the other key component is, like, a true freshman wrestling 174. A true freshman wrestling 174 he's a little bit offensively challenged and makes the national finals. You don't think there's going to be room for him? You don't think there's going to be improvement? He's going to improve, guys.
Yeah. Well, Willie, what would you set the line at? The money line that Rocco gets a takedown versus Angelo this weekend.
Plus 275.
That's fair. I'll take that. I'll take that line. I think that's a fair line, by the way. That's a fair line.
All right, let's do this. If Rocco gets a takedown, I owe you $27. I owe you $27.50. If Rocco does not get a takedown, you owe me $10.
Okay, deal. Done deal.
It's a good value. That's good value, that right?
100%.
For both.
Yeah, I think so. All right, so what's your pick? Angelo or Rocco?
I'm taking Angelo. To prove, I mean,
yeah, it's a fair. Keith says 560.
No, it's weird because I think that if you remove the Penn State fan base, just remove all the opinions of the Penn State fan base, they don't count for obvious reasons.
Yep.
And you take the rest of the wrestling world. I think that group, the rest of the wrestling world, sans Penn State fans, are insanely overconfident that Angelo wins this match. I think there's a real thing. I think there's a real nail biter. I think Rocco has much better chance than most people think. That being said, I too am taking Angelo.
Yeah. By the way, like, if you ask me,
that's not true. That's not true, Jay Hildreth. That's not true. Aiden Sinclair is a beast on his feet compared to Rocco. I don't know what Aiden Sinclair you're watching, but Aiden Sinclair makes his money on counters. You shoot, he counters. That's now he's been a little bit better, but I've been watching Aiden Sinclair. Aiden Sinclair against elite competition, his entire high-profile match career has been purely counters.
Now I'm going to say this too, because as we get to the final two picks here, I see the chat kind of having fun with me picking all these Penn State guys. I'm picking Penn State individually at all 10 weights. I think Cole's going to beat Keeter. Bar, whoever they put out 97, I think Bar gets it done. But I'm not picking Penn State to get a shutout. I do think this score is going to be like 26-6. I do think Iowa's going to get one somewhere in there, possibly two. Like if gun to my head, what's the score of this duel? 28-6.
Yeah.
But I'm picking.
I agree.
Yep. I think Iowa gets two somewhere. I don't think this is going to be a shutout. But if you ask me individually, am I picking all the Penn State guys? Yes. Do I think Iowa will likely win two matches? Yes. Do I know which two those are? Whether it's Angelo, you know what I mean? Like
100% see what you're doing there, and it's something I do often. Is I'll say I have this team winning 5 and this team winning 5. Well, who you got, Willie? Well, I got this team winning. Well, why? You just said it's 5-5. Well, because I think things are gonna. It's bound to.
Correct. Something's gonna happen. Like
weird, right? Yeah.
10 individual matchups, and I can talk myself into Penn State. Of course, I know you can see the Penn State Yeti behind me. It's not a secret. But I'm saying I do not think this is going to be a shutout. I do think Iowa's going to get two matches. I just don't know which two they're going to be. I don't think, the line is very high for Penn State to get a shutout. It could happen. I'm not picking it to happen. I do think Iowa gets two matches. So just because I'm picking, Penn State at each weight, like it's... Nothing, by the way, in like the cheap talking head point of like Bash picked Penn State to go 10-0, where are you arguing with me in there? And I'm not. I'm picking Penn State to go 8-2. But individually, I don't know which ones where Penn State is going to underperform or where Iowa's going to get one. I don't know. So clearing the air with that.
So I'm taking Angelo. I'm taking Barr against whoever. I'm taking Keeter, although I think Cole has a real shot. And I too think that Iowa gets two somehow, some way.
And you wouldn't be surprised if it's not just the two that you picked. Like it could be.
They're too good a team to be at home, not for a couple of those dudes to make it happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think Penn State wins this 8-2 matches, or 8 matches to 2. I think it's like 28-6. I think Penn State likely gets bonus from Van Ness and Barr.
Yeah.
By the way, we could talk about Barr, like 197 real quick. Obviously, there's no Endene. Do you think there's a chance we see Iowa put Arnold up at 97?
Okay, you know what? I almost totally forgot to talk about that scenario. And I see some really weird stuff on Twitter, on message boards, and they're like, why? Gabe just wrestled 74. Why would they put him at 97? Here's why they put him at 97. Please, chat, let me know if you were on that same train. Why would he wrestle 97? He's the best 97 you got. He's the best. I don't care if he wrestled 74. I don't care if he wrestled 125. He's the best 97 guy that you could put on the mat right now, number one. Number two, what's the downside? He's a backup. You're not burning his red shirt. He's there. Here's your options. Wrestle the best 97 you have, or just let him sit on the bench.
Yeah, in Harvey...
What are we talking about?
I think I forgot what exactly Brand said, but it was a lot of it was along the lines of like they're not going to rush Harvey out as a result of Mo being gone. So, and
Well,
I
what?
think that's the right thing. I would not burn Harvey's red shirt right now. I just that's me personally. Um,
Now, this, no, I guess this is a. I should have brought this up before and asked this before. Does Harvey have any dates left?
Harvey wrestled at the Luther Open, the Jim Cock Open, the Soldier Salute, and the Wisconsin Duel.
That doesn't. I can't map. I can't map that because I don't know which counted and which didn't. But
I don't know which ones he wrestled. I mean, the Luther Open was
I
all D2,
guess
D3 guys.
I guess if he has a date to use, I don't think that would be a horrible idea. I still don't think it's
But
the
here's
best
the
idea.
thing. But yeah, agreed. Let me say this though. I think now with Mo out, you now need to start getting one of these guys prepared for the postseason who before was not planning on wrestling the postseason. So I
Yeah.
do think that, Iowa slow played Arnold last year. I think this year, whether it's Arnold, whether it's pulling Ludington's red shirt, whatever, I do think you got to start getting these guys ready for the postseason. Like this was, you know, not the plan. Like
Yeah, that's a good point too. They should wrestle. Whoever wrestles here should probably be the guy that they're planning on
100%.
using in the postseason. I don't care if that happens to be Brody Sampson, then it's Brody Sampson. Um, unless we don't know what we don't know, and Tom is planning on bringing Endene back.
Yeah. But that's something like again, I said this with Jax Forrest. Like I think come mid January, whoever you start putting out, if there's question marks at the spot, like wrestle the guy at this point in the season that's going to wrestle in the postseason. So I agree, whether it's Brody Sampson, whether it's Harvey Ludington, whether it's Gabe Arnold. I saw some chatter about will Angelo Ferrari bump up now to 97. I don't think we see that.
I'll tell you what. I will tell you what. I'm going to tell you what. If the duel indeed starts at 25, if Iowa has a shot, I would change on the fly. If the duel goes the way we think it, and Penn State wins like 5 of the first 6, or 6 of the first 7, then I would wrestle Angelo at 84 and Gabe at 97. If something happens where Dean Peterson wins, Nasir Bailey beats. If Iowa has a shot, I would 1,000,000% wrestle Gabe at 84 and Angelo at 97. 1,000,000%.
Would you be, whether you're a Penn State or Iowa fan, I feel like I'd almost rather see the alternate matches that we're probably not going to get to see otherwise. Let me see Angelo Ferrari and Josh Barr. Let me see Rocco and Gabe Arnold.
Well,
I feel like that'd be cool to see those two.
Well, what's your biggest question coming into this duel? Like what will this duel answer that you most want to know? For me, it's Angelo and Rocco.
No, I agree, but here's counterpoint to that because I agree with you. But I don't think if Angelo or Rocco wins, depending on how the match goes, I could see the opposite happening at NCAA's. If Angelo wins 2-1, or if Rocco wins 2-1, that's not going to change my mind and how I see March going. So I want to see the match, but it's not like, oh, okay, now I saw Rocco win 2-1 or Angelo win 2-1. I don't think that changes much for predicting NCAA's.
I agree, but I want. To me, that's the thing I want to see the most.
I want to
Just
see
because it doesn't necessarily mean that result is going to hold in March doesn't mean I don't want to see it the
no,
most.
100%. But I will also say that, I mean, we still very well could see a Rocco Angelo final at Big Tens, or we could see. Yeah, it'd probably be a final. They're not going to be seated on the same side.
I don't know, man. Look, I think if Iowa has a shot to win the duel, if I'm Tom Brands, I'm wrestling Gabe. I guess I think Gabe against Rocco, Ferrari against Barr. I would take both Penn State guys, but if you don't do that, you're conceding because Gabe ain't beating Barr.
I do think it'd be fun to see the. I agree with you. Like I said, that the main event is Angelo and Rocco. I would also love to see Rocco versus Gabe and Barr versus Angelo.
Yeah, but in that way, it's not about wanting to see. To me, it's you do that if you have a shot to win the duel. And when I say a shot to win the duel, I mean any shot, any prayer in hell. You wrestle to win the duel. And if that situation materializes, I think that Tom Brown should do that.
Troy Ryder in the chat says, if Angelo wins 4-1, I don't think it bodes well for Rocco in the second match. I don't think it has much bearing in the second match. I think, number one, Penn State coaches are very good. And I think depending on how it goes, they could help Rocco to turn that around the other time. The other thing that makes Angelo winning 4-1, like, it doesn't give me that much confidence because we talked about it before. And here's a preview of the NCAA tournament. The 184 is a gauntlet. And if you told me Angelo wins NCAA's winning each match, quarter semis, finals 4-1, that wouldn't surprise me. But you're also leaving it up to a one takedown match against really, really good guys. And that's a dangerous thing to do at the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, if I'm Kale, though, I want that match so bad. I want Rocco versus Ferrari so bad.
100%.
And if I'm Kale, if I'm Tom and I've had a shot to win the duel, I wrestled Gabe at 84, Angelo at 97. Now, listen to this. Depending on who has to send first at 184, if I'm Kale and Iowa has to send first and they send Gabe, what do you do if you're Kale?
I was reading Cornell's question in the chat. Can you say that again?
184 comes.
Yeah. We started at 25.
184 comes.
Yeah.
Iowa mathematically can win the duel. So Tom does what I said and sends Gabe at 84 on the mat. Let's just say this is under the supposition that Iowa has to send first. 184 comes. Tom can win the duel. He sends Gabe. What do you do if you're Kale? Because I'll tell you what I do. I don't send Rocco. I forfeit, or I send a backup, and I chase that match. And if they
bump Rocco to 97.
Yep, and sit Barr. I don't care. I want that match. I have to have that match. I have to get data. I have to see how Rocco wrestles him so I can make adjustments going forward.
It's an interesting take. Cornell Kevin in the chat said, how many bonus point matches of the 10? I think Shane Van Ness and Barr both get bonus. I don't know who else you could say. I feel like bonus line would probably be 2.5 for me. Would you put it at 3.5?
Mm-hmm.
Assume there's a gap between Shane. 2.5. Right?
I went for it. Yeah, 2.5.
There's a gap between Barr and his opponent, and there's a gap between Shane Van Ness and Ryder Block. Apart from that, somebody has to wrestle really, really, really good to bonus their opponent the rest of this duel on both sides.
Though, here's the thing. With 3-point takedowns, 4-point near falls,
yeah,
Mesenbrink and Levi, it's not it's not that Caliendo is that bad. It's not that PK is bad. It's that you get 2 takedowns in a turn, you're in bonus point territory. Uh, it could even be a 3-point match with a couple seconds to go, and Kennedy goes for a latch ditch effort, and Levi puts him on his back. You know what I'm saying?
100%. So maybe 3.5 then, because of
No,
the
I don't
talent.
think. I don't think it's 3. I don't think it's 3.5, but I think 3 could hit.
I think 3 could hit too, because like you said, and by the way, somebody could wrestle really, really good, open it up, and that wouldn't surprise me. I think we end up seeing 2.
Oh yeah, you also got Duke in there. I mean,
but Bashada literally just texted me, "Is Duke gonna Major
if
Williams?"
if Williams, we saw Jordan get a little frustrated and kind of just mail it in against was it Robidoux? There was one match where Williams was getting beat, and like he didn't. I don't know if he didn't care or just said this match is over or didn't think, but somebody got like a last second takedown. I think it might have been Zerbin.
Let me pull a Willie. Okay, let me pull a Willie. Would it blow your mind if Duke majors him 12-4?
No, absolutely not.
Would it blow your mind if the true freshman walks into Carver Hawkeye and wins a close 1-5-4?
No.
So that's why it's like, I think for a true freshman to go into Carver Hawkeye, it's not an easy thing to do. I think Duke gets the win. I think Duke's the better wrestler. But for a true freshman to go into Carver Hawkeye, I'd probably lean towards maybe more bonus if it was at Bryce Jordan or at Rec Hall. And I think, but I think in Carver Hawkeye, I think it's going to be closer. If nothing else, again, a true freshman wrestling Carver Hawkeye is not the easiest thing to do. That has to factor in.
Yeah. I agree with you guys. Now that we talked through it, 3.5, I think is probably because Bar, Duke, who's the other one we said?
Bar, Shane Van Ness, Duke.
Bar, Shane Van Ness, Duke, and then one of them does some Penn State stuff.
Yeah. By the way, it wouldn't surprise me too. Like Penn State this year has been pinning a lot of people. I wouldn't necessarily pick a pin. Iowa's got a very talented roster, but if a pin happened, again, to Willie, everybody, would that blow your mind?
Yeah. All right. That is Penn State. That is Friday. Can't wait. Let's go over the rest of the slate. Tonight we have VMI Appalachian State and Missouri Arizona State on ESPN Plus. That's 8:30. WrestleStat has that duel 22-12 for Missouri. Also Friday, Brown Presbyterian, Bucknell, North Dakota State. Brown Lockhaven, Bucknell Davidson, North Dakota State Davidson. Yada, yada, yada. That whole group's wrestling. Drexel and Binghamton, George Mason Bloomsburg, Chattanooga Gardner Webb, Slippery Rock, back from the dead against Mercyhurst. West Point at Cornell. That should have some good matches. Long Island against American Buffalo at Clarion, Morgan State at Columbia, Purdue at Maryland. And this is where I was saying, when I started doing notes for these, I love Tony Ursuline. I'm over the moon. But I like Purdue. Purdue's a little down this year. Michigan's a little down this year. Maryland, it doesn't seem like Maryland would always have like 2 guys that were like, gotta watch this guy. I mean, I guess Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Little Rock lost to SIU Edwardsville last week.
Dude, SIU is not all that bad. We got my boy Daryl Thomas down there recruiting. He's doing good stuff. West Virginia at Pitt. Yeah, this is another one. I started writing down matches. There's not like premier matchups in these bouts. WrestleStat has that one, I think 1914 or 1915 for West Virginia. That's going to be a good duel. I'm definitely going to tune into that. Michigan at Rutgers. And here's another one. Like I said, Michigan's down. Rutgers. Rutgers, they're not world beaters, but in duels they've been good, and they've usually had a few guys to really spice things up and make things interesting. They're a little down. I just feel like there's a ton of teams that are down. Like I feel like everybody's down except for like 4 teams, maybe 6. I feel like right now this year there's just a bunch of haves and have-nots. Even like who's not having a good year, and I love him. Have you looked up
underscore?
Have you looked up Dylan Ragason's results? They are wonky.
When you were thinking Michigan and you were saying like they're down, I'm like the Montanona brothers are very good. Apart from that, like you got McNeil and Gadiali that haven't really done too much. You've got Dylan Ragusin, Joey Oliveri might be the premier match in Rutgers, Michigan.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm doing these notes. I'm like, oh, okay, we got one here, Ragusin and Oliveri. And I look it up, and this is Dylan Ragusin's 3-2 on the year. His win is sudden victory against the backup, 6-0 against the backup, a loss to Jace Roller, who's 5-4, a loss to Luke Satriano, who's a freshman, and a win over Michigan State's Jaden Crumpler, who's 6-6. It's just weird.
The chat thinks that Blaze will bonus Drake.
I don't know how many times Drake can be bonused. North Carolina, Virginia, App State, Virginia Tech. This is still Friday. All these are streamed, and it's great. Central Michigan, Northern Illinois, Air Force, Oklahoma, Northwestern, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Minnesota. There's some good ones there. That'll be a real good one, actually. So, wait. Will we have a doubleheader on the Big Ten Network? Is that what we got?
We have a Big Ten doubleheader.
Oh, that's awesome. We got Iowa, Penn State, followed by Nebraska, Minnesota. Oh, I'm all in.
And then you got NC State, Stanford at 10. So it's like the wrestling just keeps going.
That's a good duel too. Even minus the guys that are out now for Stanford, but it's good too because it's on not the Stanford match, but the 2 Big Ten matches you can have on your TV. You can have a laptop up watching some ACC action. Pretty cool. NC State, Stanford at 10. So that's later than everything else. You can catch a good part of that. That's it for Friday. Saturday, Citadel at Campbell, Ryder at the Citadel, Ryder at Campbell, Navy at Lehigh. That's awesome because I will go to that. Missouri at Utah Valley. That's it for Saturday. Sunday. Is Sunday both NFL games?
There's 4 NFL games. We're talking about both. There's 2 Saturday. 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday, I believe.
Oh, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday. Hey, Mel Kiper's big board came out, and 3 of the top 8 are from in the draft this year are from Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't start looking at the draft yet. My team's still in the playoffs.
Whatever.
Go Bills. We got anything Sunday to watch?
Sunday, Presbyterian Bellarmine and Sacred Heart. Pitt at Duke, Iowa Cyclone Open, Maryland, Indiana, Purdue Rutgers, Oklahoma, West Virginia, Franklin Marshall, Binghamton, Illinois at Michigan on the Big Ten Network. Some more Big Ten action on television. Illinois is going to beat Michigan, huh? They're going to beat Michigan? Let's see what WrestleStat says. Let's do a deep dive on Illinois, Michigan. I should have done that. I must have got sidetracked on 83 Tulsa seed emails.
I thought you said there were
Illinois
67.
6-7.
Oh no, that
Nope.
was 67 entries. There was something.
Nah, it's not for public consumption. That one.
Hey, I got a
Who
random
you got?
tidbit for you. Who do I got in
Illinois
mind?
WrestleStat has Michigan 20-13 over Illinois. Spencer Moore, Diego Sotelo. That's odd to me. I would have just knee jerk. I would have said, oh, I guess Michigan matches up pretty well with them with the Mantanona brothers up there. But Spencer Moore over Diego Sotelo.
Well, timeout, because don't forget when you're going through this that Cannon Webster had like a nasty looking concussion last week. So I don't know if he's wrestling.
Hold on. Lucas Bird over Botero. They have Ragusan over Pacino, but I think that's but Pacino's tough.
Yeah, I would swap that.
Lachlan McNeil over Michael Joffrey. This has Cannon Webster over Catrabone. So it already has Webster winning. If he doesn't sit, Catrabone probably beats whoever they have.
That's what I'm saying. So I think Michigan wins. I mean, that's a big 3-6 the other way, 3-5, whatever.
Skulls over Justin Gates, true freshman, I believe. Colin Kelly, no, Bo Mantanona over Colin Kelly, Brock Mantanona over Chris Moore, Hayden Walters over Dylan Connell. I think that's another possible win for Illinois, but maybe not. And this has Gadiali over Luffman. So yeah, Michigan looks like I would pick Michigan.
Hey, I got a random tidbit for you, William.
Hit me.
If you're done with the weekend preview.
Well, I'm not done yet.
Okay, go.
Want me to run through it? All right. So that's Illinois, Michigan at 2. Lehigh at Princeton, also at 2. American and Army, Penn State, Northwestern, South Dakota State, Wyoming. George Mason at Navy, ASU at Northern Colorado, Bakersfield at NC State, Cal Poly, Oregon State, and that is the full weekend rundown.
All right, so let me hit you with this because I don't know if you caught this because you've been traveling, partying on mushrooms, everything, the whole thing. Did you see the roster USA Wrestling is sending to France?
No, but I saw you. I think you text me or put in the notes that there's a bunch of weird names.
I'm pulling it up on the screen right now, and I'm curious your take because. Can you see it? I just pulled it up.
You pulled it up where?
It's on the screen.
Not on my screen, pal.
Go to YouTube. I don't know. It's on the stream.
Lying. Right. You're lying.
So go to YouTube. It'll be there in 60 seconds, 30 seconds. I was really caught off guard because there's a bunch of names in here that I have just never heard of before. And normally, the guys that USA sends to this are, let me tell you the names, like the more common ones: Austin DeSanto, Nato, Bo Bartlett, Ed Scott, Pentelio, David Carr, Bearclaw, Will Luan, Mike Mock. Those are like, you normally hear those names. Have you heard of Lucas Kaufman?
No.
Michael Saba?
Never.
Troy Tolbert?
Why would I?
It's really weird. I don't go to YouTube, see if you can see the list now that I pull up. Like, people were asking, like, is this the Greco list? And I'm like, no. USA Wrestling sent out the article saying this is the men's freestyle squad going. And I'm really curious. I don't know if like USA Wrestling is it just makes no sense to me. In all the years I've been like tracking and following who's going to these tournaments, I've never seen a list like this where it's like the guys you would expect and then guys you've never heard of.
What if a guy is like, hey, I'm wrestling, I'm going. I don't care what you say, I'm going. They got to list them, right? I don't know.
So let me ask you this. What is the EAP? Because that's the club that's sending some of these guys.
That is the elite accelerator program, which means that they are like 18. So the high schoolers.
So a number of these kids are EAP next to their name.
Yeah, and I never heard of them.
So, and like you said, it's not. If they're listening, I'm not trying to disrespect them. Be like, who are these guys? I've never heard of them. It caught me off guard.
You even get that at like last chance world team trials qualifier, last chance Olympic qualifier. You'll see guys you ain't never heard of before because it's like YOLO.
And normally you'll see that, like, hey, you get a chance to go wrestle wherever in, I don't know, Cleveland, Ohio. But to go to France and wrestle in the overseas freestyle tournament, you don't normally, see that. I don't know. But yeah, other guys going, because I just mentioned some of the more common names. Jacob Cardenas and Stephen Buchanan both going at 97. Kobe Merrill going at heavyweight. Mason Paris going at heavyweight.
It's going to get a little tricky matchmaking for RAF now for the next couple cards because you got guys that are going to ranking series. And then, April is right up against the U.S. Open.
And you start getting guys now that have like their schedules for Open, Final X, World Team Trials, Challenge Tournament, stuff like that.
We will, though. So one of the good things about the RAF card next to the U.S. Open is our medalists don't have to wrestle in it. So like Zahid, Trent, Real, and some of the women as well, they don't have to wrestle in it. So they're clear like targets to put on that card. And then when there should be an announcement here soon about what the March card is. And that it's going to be after NCAAs. And so like March, April, May, there's several guys that we're interested in having on cards. I think US fans would love to see them on cards that are coaching in college and they didn't want to compete during the college season because they're with their team, Sebastian Rivera, Vincenzo Joseph, David McFadden, guys like that. I'm really excited to see Vincenzo come back.
I got to call him back. He's called me twice this week, and I forgot to call him back after our last show. And he called me this morning, and I said, dude, this shows me that you're not tuned in. And he said, funny enough, I'm listening to the show from earlier in the week, and I'm just getting caught up, and I was calling you about that. So, all right.
He lives like 3 miles from me.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be hanging out with him all the time if I was you. All the time.
It'll happen.
Oh, you want to hear a funny story? I already told it to you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you to the chat, and then we'll go. So I'm down here in Lakewood Ranch. I joined the gym for the first time since COVID because back in New York I have like a home gym, and I don't have that here. So I joined LA Fitness, and I was wearing my PSU sweatshirt today. And so I'm over finishing my workout. Guy comes up to me. Hey, did you wrestle for Penn State? I said, no. I said, just got some buddies that do. They're a client of mine. He goes, oh. I go, I know a Penn State wrestler. Good friend of mine. I said, yeah, who? Luke Garner. Do you know Luke? I said, of course I know Luke. Luke's the man. So then
because he lives down there now.
Yeah, he lives down here. Luke runs Tampa. Like Luke Garner, shout out LG. You can't go anywhere, not just either run into Luke or people that know Luke. Luke is the man. And then, of course, he said, I'm going to tell Luke you said what's up. What's your name? I'm going to forget. So I told him my name. And then he instantly takes his phone out and texts Luke and says, Bash says you're a pussy. All right, that's the show. Big one tomorrow night.
What's your plans for tomorrow night? How are you setting up? How you doing it, big boy?
We got the TV mounted outside. So I'm going to do Penn State, Iowa outside. I like to normally go like pizza wings for evening duel. I like going like the Traeger for like the tournaments and smoke something, watch the tournament all day. I might do a pizza and wings Friday night, and then we go back to back because big one Friday night, Penn State, Iowa, and then the Bills at Denver on Saturday, 4:30. That's
Bills, Broncos at 4, Niners, Seahawks at 8. All right. I say go Bills all the time, but the Broncos are my number 2 team. The Broncos are my AFC team.
Yeah, but come on.
I know. I got to go with you. Go Bills. We'll see you next week.
Go Bills.